Hey y'all, I had to get on here and talk about this because I haven't heard anyone talking about it. As you probably know, the Michigan Senate primary election is coming up this upcoming Tuesday, August 4th. Haley Stevens, Abdul Al Sayed, and people are not mentioning this about Haley Stevens, so I figured I'd talk about it. Haley Stevens is
And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way.
one of the
Israel comes to me in my dreams.
Haley Stevens is quickly becoming one of the allies to this new bipartisan movement to get rid of Chinese EVs in the country. And this is not being talked about enough. Most people don't even know that Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who's a Democrat, and Bernie Moreno, who's a Republican, have been working together to try and get rid of all Chinese EVs from being sold in the country, entering the country, driving on the roads, anything. And Haley Stevens has joined in on this movement. I want to break this down because it seems a little more innocent than it really is. When they talk about this bill, they make it seem like it's for our good, but I want to show you what's really going on. So if you go to Haley Stevens' website, you can see the press release from May 28th about her and Alyssa Slotkin introducing new legislation that is full out banning Chinese connected vehicles from even driving over the border. And that already puts up a red flag for me, because if you know anything about California, especially places like San Diego, there are Mexican residents that legally cross over the border every day. They drive over the border. I think it might be like over 100,000. It's let me check that. Mexican residents legally cross the border every day and go to work in cities like San Diego and Southern California. And right now, it's a lot more cost effective for them to purchase the more affordable, better quality Chinese vehicles that they can get their hands on than buying a US made vehicle or a Mexican made vehicle at this moment. So more of these drivers are now commuting in Chinese made vehicles. And because of that, there's more vehicles coming over the border. That creates a problem if there's now a ban, because now we have a portion of the workforce in Southern California that no longer can use their car to commute. It would be illegal to cross the border. So that's already an issue, but let's dig a little deeper into this. All right, so I want to come over to Alyssa Slotkin's website and look at her press release from July 22nd, a press release about the bipartisan bill that Slotkin and Moreno put together, the Connected Vehicle Security Act, basically summarizing some of the support they've gotten. So I want to go through some of these players. Of course, we've got many different auto manufacturers that are not Chinese, of course. Their biggest competition. So we got General Motors, Stellantis, Ford. Let's see here. Honda. Then, this is interesting. We have the SAFE, Coalition for Reimagined Mobility. Let's go to their website. So, according to their website right here, this is the areas of impact that this coalition works for and works at. This is what they are pushing in the industry right now. AI-enabled transportation deployment. They're going to address structural barriers preventing AI and autonomous transportation technologies from scaling. So they're pro-AI. Scale data and digital infrastructure. building transportation's digital backbone. So they're pro data center. Secure advanced technology supply chains for a competitive transportation system, ensuring physical and digital assets are protected from adversarial attacks across surface, air, and maritime assets. Yeah, either that's natural resources or some sort of national security policy. Not entirely sure. Sounds more like natural resources. Where are they getting them from? So there seems to be a lot of concern, not only from the organizations that are in support of this bill, but also the bill itself and the things that the senators bring up. A lot of it deals with national security risks. You hear them talk about how China is our greatest adversary and we can't have their cars on the roads because they'll use them to spy on us with all the technology in the car, and they can create all sorts of nefarious situations. What I think is extremely interesting, while they're going after China, they have no concern for other countries that the Pentagon has on the highest threat level for America's security. According to NBC and other news outlets, this just came out a month ago. The Pentagon is increasingly concerned about Israel ramping up its spying on the U.S., recently raising the counterintelligence threat level from America's top ally in the Middle East to the highest level, according to 2 U.S. officials and 1 former official. Now, what's interesting about this, you say, what does Israel have to do with this conversation? Well, let me tell you. One of the leaders in the AI sector for vehicles right now is Mobileye. You want to guess where Mobileye's headquarters are? That's right. Israel. Specifically, Jerusalem. You want to guess how many companies are working with Mobileye? To be honest, I couldn't even figure out how many. But from a quick Google search, I was able to find most of the big players. So what's interesting about Mobileye is they are working with plenty of auto brands that are driving in the US. We've got Volkswagen Group, which includes many brands like Audi, Bentley, Volkswagen, Lamborghini, Porsche, and the list goes on. We've got Ford, we've got Toyota, Stellantis. But I just think it's interesting that we're concerned about specifically China spying on us. But what other countries fall into that category? I mean, we don't have anyone going after any European vehicle. We don't have anyone going after, I stand incorrect, the UAW. Ha! The UAW is the next organization that is supporting this bill. Now, you might say the UAW, I thought they're a great union, and they've done a lot of great things. They're actually supporting Abdul for the candidacy. However, they have kind of a checkered past if you really look into it, and I'm not a fan of everything they do. For example, right now, the UAW is supporting this bill, which is just going to essentially help them temporarily to keep their jobs, to keep their wages, and they're not thinking long-term about it. This bill, already it came out that Mercedes-Benz is potentially going to be banned from the US because of the amount of Chinese parts that they already have in their vehicles. And this bill would not allow their cars on the road. The UAW, let's look at some of their history though. So the UAW supported Trump's 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada last year. They don't seem to like the free trade agreements. They believe it harms auto workers, which They are very focused on specifically them, which is great for them, but they're not focused on the bigger picture, which is also not great for them and not great for anyone else. I want to talk about the UAW, and I don't know all the ins and outs about this. So if there's something that I missed or something that I'm not understanding correctly, let me know in the comments so that I know better and I can get this right. But from what I can tell, the UAW has some questionable things going on and has done some questionable things in the past. It's interesting that the UAW seems to be anti-EV question mark. Back in 2023, they were pretty opposed to EVs due to the fact that EV powertrains are apparently mechanically simpler, which means this could reduce the amount of labor or jobs associated with vehicle production. Not the best argument. Also, that doesn't account for battery plants and other forms of labor that go into making an EV. And it's just interesting that it's this new technology. I don't know. But the UAW seems to be holding back EVs from making bigger strides. Okay, let's just talk about this. So the UAW seems to be anti-EV, which, let's be honest, that only helps the manufacturers because the manufacturers aren't super excited about EVs either because, let's be honest, the manufacturers are close with the dealers who also aren't very excited about EVs, and they're close with big oil who's not excited about EVs. So everyone's kind of in a bit of a partnership right now, trying to prevent us from getting this newer, cleaner technology so that they can continue making the profits that they want to make with the ease and with, same old, same old. It's interesting, the UAE even stated that they wanted a guaranteed right to strike when internal combustion plants close. So we're just keeping gas cars around because jobs. Right. Don't care how long the world lasts. I also want to talk about the fact that this bill and these senators keep going after China and the auto industry there, blaming basically everything, all the good prices on subsidies. And this is just a lazy take. China has amongst the best engineers and supply chains in the world. And they do get a lot of subsidies, but they also have a very focused government. It's very centralized. It's not like the government in the West. They are very focused. They're able to get things done very effectively and efficiently. And they put a focus specifically on EV technology. They got all the supply chains. They have most of the rare earth mineral refining facilities in the world. They have a hold on basically all the supply chains. They manufacture basically everything themselves, so they don't have to go to other countries and other suppliers in order to get parts for their vehicles. Everything's done in-house. You probably don't know this, but there is something that has been phrased China speed in China because the auto industry moves so fast. They're constantly releasing new vehicles because there's so much competition. So the reason why Chinese cars cost less is a multitude of things, but you even have the fact that these companies are barely making profits on these vehicles at all. It's gotten so competitive. This is the great thing that they've done with their industry is they basically subsidized everyone for a time, and all these different companies popped up and they said, go and make the best product. And everyone started working for what they thought was the best. And these companies are cutthroat. They'll slash prices. They'll come out with new technology as quickly as they can. And they make great technology because the competition is so fierce The profits are so low, they have to have the best products. But anyways, I just wanted to make that quick video before the election, just letting you know that little tidbit that, Haley Stevens is very much aligned with this bipartisan movement to keep Americans from having clean and affordable technology. So do with that what you will.